Balrogs versus dragons. Who were Morgoth's greatest beasts? In the elder days of the world, when the lands were young and the stars alone cast their cold light upon Middle-earth, there arose the first shadow, Morgoth, the black foe, greatest of the Ainur and corrupter of all things fair, wove into his dark dominion a host of dreadful beings. But two he favoured above all others, the Balrogs, demons of fire and terror, and the dragons, monstrous creatures wrought of flame, scale, and ruin. In the ruinous wars of the First Age, both served their master with ferocity unmatched, yet the question remains, which of these was Morgoth's most fearsome creation? The Balrogs, or Valaraukar, as they were once known, were not born of darkness. They were Maya, spirits of fire and might, akin in origin to Sauron and Gandalf. Long ago, they served the Valar in the halls of Valinor, but when Malkor rebelled, they fell into shadow, seduced by its grandeur and power. He clad them in flame and terror, with whips of many thongs, swords of black fire, and forms both physical and spectral. They descended into the deep places of earth. They became his enforcers, his generals and bodyguards, and where they marched, ruin followed. Gothmog, lord of the Balrogs, was foremost among them. His name was a curse on the lips of the elves and men. He slew Feanor, High Prince of the Noldor, in single combat. Later, in the hidden city of Gondolin, he battled Ectelion of the Fountain, and though both perished, their clash shook the foundations of Morgoth's hold in Beleriand. But Morgoth's malice did not end with spirits. In the depths of Angband he crafted a new life, a blasphemy upon the song of creation. From fire and cruelty he birthed the dragons, wingless at first, but imbued with raw might and cunning intellect. The first and most terrible was Glaurung, the father of the dragons. He spoke with a voice that enslaved will, and his gaze was a weapon of domination. He razed the elven realm of Nargothrond and cursed the line of Hurin with despair. But in the final war of the First Age, Morgoth unleashed his last and greatest beast, Ancalagon the Black. He was a winged worm so vast that his fall shattered the volcanic peaks of Thangorodrim. The stars themselves seemed to tremble when he flew. The Balrogs were few, perhaps a few dozen in number, but each was a storm of wrath and flame. In battle, they moved with preternatural speed and discipline, often appearing without warning, striking like thunder. In the Dragor Bragalach, they broke the northern defenses of the Noldor. In the fall of Gondolin, they crushed walls and burned heroes. Dragons, by contrast, were singular instruments of cataclysm, slow to breed and rare to behold. In the Nirnieth Arnodiad, Glaurung led the charge that ended all hope of victory for the Eldar. Later, winged dragons like Ancalagon darkened the skies, scattering the hosts of the Valar in the War of the Wrath. Their breath melted stone, their scales resisted all but the most enchanted blades, and their minds were keen. They were not mere beasts, they were strategists, tyrants, and kings of fire. So then, who would triumph if flame met flame? Would a Balrog, ancient and divine, fell a dragon with force? Or would the overwhelming force and cunning of the dragon smother the fire spirit into ash? Shadow and fire against cunning and brute strength. The Balrog's agility and spiritual power would grant it the edge in close combat. It was no mere beast, but a being of will and fear, a Maya. Yet Glaurung's strength was no less terrible. His hide was impervious to normal weapons, and his mind would bend the wills of even the strongest. Ancalagon, however, would have surpassed all, He was said to have eclipsed the sky, his power so vast that even Arundel, wielding a Silmaril and aided by the Eagles of Manwë, needed divine strength to cast him down. In this imagined battle, the victor may depend not on might alone, but on will and wisdom, on the terrain, the moment, and the strength of the one who commands them. Both Balrogs and dragons perished with the fall of Morgoth, but in the War of Wrath, the Valar descended upon Angband and destroyed his hosts. The Balrogs were hunted into the depths. Most were slain. Some say one escaped, to lie sleeping beneath the mountains until the world's end. The dragons, too, were broken, yet a few survived. In later ages, Smaug the Golden, a lesser fire drake, would terrorize the north, but he was but a shadow of his ancestors. Thus ended the reign of Morgoth's might, yet the terror they sowed lingers in story and song, and their legacy is carved into the bones of the earth. Balrog or dragon, each was a crown jewel in Morgoth's dark treasury. Whether shadow-wreathed Maya or fire-born tyrant, they were the harbingers of ruin. And though the light returned, their names endure, whispered on storm winds and remembered in dread. Thank you for watching, fellow travelers. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. See you soon.